All right. So today I want to talk about what is and will be on an ongoing basis the hardest part about accepting this new identity as a stay-at-home dad, and that's going to be the the feeling of less than when interacting with other dads in the area who aren't stay-at-home dads. And one of the main reasons why my situation is particularly different, and I think makes it even more difficult, is because of the fact that because my wife makes so much money, we live in an area where it's nice, higher, very high income, meaning the types of dads I'm going to be interacting with are going to be also high income, high achievers, and having that conversation with them when it ultimately leads to, well, what do you do for work? And the answer is, I'm not going to say it this way, but the answer is, I don't work. I stay at home and I'm able to live here because my wife makes a lot of money. So that's kind of the idea I want to explore today. And the topic itself was kind of triggered by an interaction, not even interaction, an experience I had yesterday. But it's leg day today, so I'm gonna hit my first workout, which is squats, and then I'll come back and kind of explore this idea of, it not being easy, interacting with other dads when you aren't doing what they're doing. So yeah, the thing I wanted to talk about was kind of sparked, or, oh man, I get so winded from doing squats. So the reason why I decided to talk about what I thought would be, the hardest thing about accepting the identity of being a stay-at-home dad, or not even accepting it, because I don't know if that's something that's even possible or that I should do. Maybe the better way of thinking about it is, in the short term at least, coming to terms in some form or fashion with being a stay-at-home dad is going to be these conversations with other dads in the area who aren't stay-at-home dads, the ones that, did the correct things, the combination of luck as well, to get to be able to live in a super nice, wealthy area. And the conversation ultimately again leading to, well, what do you do for work? And this is something I always knew I needed to talk about more, because I think I maybe briefly mentioned this thought to my wife before, and we kind of, but I don't know if I've necessarily articulated it out loud before. So, but it was kind of all sparked when I was just going to go get ice cream yesterday, and as I was walking out, this super souped out, not souped out, but very nice Escalade pulled up, and the dad walked out with his wife and his kids, and my initial reaction was not jealousy, more so of, oh man, like, this guy probably is, a lawyer or a doctor or a business guy, and he probably put in all this effort and work and time to grind up the ladder and make all this money so that he can provide his family this nice car, and I'm sure they live in a nice house and they go on nice vacations, and I'm sure he feels very fulfilled and happy and proud of himself. Whereas for me, I'm driving around, I'm parked right next to him, and in maybe an equally nice car, living in an equally nice house, going on equally nice vacations, yet I don't have that backstory of grinding to get to this point. Instead, for me, it was a different path. The analogy that immediately came to mind was this movie called The King, where they're going from England to France to fight this battle, And there's this scene where they're this long, parade line with all the soldiers, and some of them are on horses, but most of them are obviously just walking. And it's a pretty long trek to get from the where they landed all the way to the battlefield in France. And so in order to get to point A to point B, obviously the ultimate goal of being that battle, a lot of the men are struggling. They're wearing super heavy armor. It's hot. They're probably hungry and tired, and yet it's their duty to their king to be a good soldier and get to the battlefield. But then there's the bishop who's laying back in this plush on this plush couch, being carried by people to the battlefield. And everyone wants to relate with, I guess in this sense, the main hero, which is the king. Like, I'm the king, right? I kind of look at it and be like, okay, well, technically speaking, looking at my life, I'm not the king. I'm not even the soldier. I'm the bishop who's being carried to the end goal, to the battlefield. So that's kind of like the immediate reaction that I had. But again, it's not like that's the first time I kind of came to that realization. It's something that's definitely been nagging at me for quite some time, even before coming to the admission, more recently that, like, hey, you're not actually at this point right now that my side hustle's trading, you're not actually a trader. You're a stay-at-home dad. So I kind of came to that conclusion more recently, whereas before I was like, no, like, I actually am a trader. I'm just not a successful trader yet, but I gotta fake it till I make it and pretend like I'm this trader. So I'd go to, drop my kids off at school, and he's in preschool, and it's like a super nice, fancy preschool. And so there's like current professional athletes, ex-professional athletes, doctors, business people. There's like this one girl who's got like millions of followers on social media, and that's just kind of like what I know. And so you've got all these people who are super successful, and then there's me, right, who's a trader. And so when the people hear that, like, oh wow, he must be a really good trader. He must have made hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars of trading, and like little do they know that's not the case at all. Like, my life, I'm not at this preschool right now with the professional athletes and the influencers and the doctors, and I'm sure the lawyers and the other business people. That's not why I'm there. It's not because I made all this money in trading. It's because my wife worked really hard, and I'm the bishop, being carried on the plush couch to the battlefield. And I actually do not know how to deal with that. I have no clue whether it's just I need to be resigned to that fact and just somehow come to the acceptance that, hey, that's the situation that you're in. Or if I need to be like, no, like, you messed up. You made some mistakes that led to this point, and you gotta like get it together and figure out how to get out of the situation. I don't necessarily know what the correct answer is. Like, I don't know if I need to, kind of use it as inspiration to, again, figure out what I need to do to be that, breadwinner, or if I kind of need to just be like, hey, like, you spent the last 10 years or so, not necessarily 10 years, probably, I mean, maybe even more than that, trying to kind of go the unconventional path of, the side hustle, being an entrepreneur, and it just didn't work out. And it doesn't mean it can't work out in the future, but right now it's just not a realistic thing to do when you've got a newborn, when your wife makes all this money, and it's not something that you have the time to do right now. Which kind of brings me to another point, and I got to get back to my workout, but because like the first, I've already had this thought. It's like, okay, well, you can get up super early, and then you can stay up super late, and then you can, try to figure out how you can spend time, and then you have the entire weekend to grind on some side hustle. and then you can kind of do that over months and months and possibly years in order to kind of get to the point where this side hustle is working. But then my immediate reaction to that is like, okay, but like that would be fine in a sense if I was like younger, but like I've got 3 kids, and so it's like, do I really want to spend my weekends like not being around my family in order to grind on something where, based off of my past, I have evidence where I have grinded on things before and they have not worked out. But then also on the flip side, less from my perspective, right? Because I would actually do that. Like I'd have no issue doing that. But like, how does it impact my family? Like, how does it impact my kids who, want to hang out with dad, want to go swimming, want to do whatever on weekends, but I can't because I'm in my office grinding on something that's making no money at the time. Or my wife, who, like right now in this current situation, like her job isn't like insane. Like she's not working 100 hours or 80-hour weeks. Like it's stay at home. It's pretty flexible because she's grinded to this point. It wasn't always like that. But then am I gonna have her, be done with work and I say, hey, like you take the kids now so I can go to my office and trade, or do some. I'm creating my marketing agency or whatever it is, right? Again, making no money, and then her looking at my past and saying like, hey, you've done these things before and they haven't really worked out. So like, I'd rather us just hang out together, right? Weekends too. I'm always gonna just wake up early and then just leave on the weekend, or be in my office all weekend, and then she has to take care of the kids after working all week. Like, no, right? If we were like super poor and broke, or if she like loses her job or something, then that's fair. But like, it's not. It's completely unnecessary for like the material aspect of our lives. It's more so like a me thing of like, I feel like crap basically, knowing that I'm not making money. And yeah, because like I remember I saw a video of a guy who had his, he's like 2 kids and 2 businesses, and it showed him, it's Saturday and it's 8 a.m. and he's leaving his house to go do his business, and then he's out all day and he gets back home at 8 o'clock at night. And someone who's young and wants to be in the hustle and bustle and the side hustle, have like a side hustle and entrepreneurial and grind their way up to creating this business, to them that's like inspirational. Whereas to me, that's just like bro, like what does your wife think about all this? Like if you have 2 kids, like it's like, I mean, maybe she's just stay at home and she's totally fine with that. But like in my scenario, like that would not work whatsoever. Like I would feel guilty while I'm out, which I should feel guilty. And like my situation at home would not be great when I came home, because my wife would be stressed out because she was with the kids the entire day and had no help basically. And again, I get that some people can do that, but our situation is just not that. So all right, let me hit my next workout, and then that was a long one, so something else might not come up. But if it does, I shall return to the bench. All right. Well, the kid's going nuts. Not like nuts, but he's making movement in there. My 4-week-old. So I might need to go get him. It's pretty early in the morning right now. It's like 6:30, so everyone else is asleep, and this is my shift. But one thing that I was thinking about during that set was this, again, tied back to the idea of this feeling of like inadequacy or shame for being a stay-at-home dad when interacting with other dads who are the actual main breadwinner and by like a lot, like making a ton of money. Is that I used to have like a Twitter account, I don't know, like 6 years ago. And it was kind of in the traditional trad family circles kind of thing. It didn't start off like that, but it was more like philosophical content. But the type of philosophical content that I was discussing was kind of attractive to that world, right? Of like the husband works and the wife stays at home, in a sense. And I remember I was on this Twitter space, and with one of my buddies, and we were kind of talking about how it's important for the wife to stay home and take care of the kids, and the husband to kind of work, and that's their roles, and that's their duty in society. And the reason why society is completely messed up is because those roles have been blurred and reversed, or whatever. Doesn't necessarily matter. But the point of the conversation was around that. And I remember he kind of asked me, because I was being funny and like trolly and kind of making outlandish statements on purpose just to like kind of be funny. And I remember he kind of stops me and asks me, he's like, hey, like, what does your wife think about all this? Like, does she agree with this, or does she disagree with this? Like, if she was sitting here right now, what would she say? And again, I'm not putting words in her mouth, but and then my response was like, oh, she agrees with this. She agrees with me. She agrees with me that the wife should stay home and the husband should work. But it's interesting because I was kind of reflecting on that moment during that set and trying to think of like how did I say that in the moment, and then kind of how did I feel about it actually? Because even at that time, I don't think I was a cop anymore. So I think I'd quit that already, and I was doing the variety of side hustles, and I don't think I even. I think I was so like delusional, and like the mask I had in my face was so like tight, and like I was pretending so much that like there was it didn't even register in my mind whatsoever that like, hey, you're saying this one thing about how society is messed up because the wife's not staying at home and the husband's not working, and like your life is like not only is your life not like that, but your life is like super comfortable and luxurious and objectively like from the outside like great, and you're doing the exact opposite of that, right? Like how can you do this? And I think that's because like this like Twitter account was like doing very well, and I've done like content in the past that's done really well, but all of it has been me putting on a mask and pretending, right? Like me pretending that I'm this macho man who's making all this money myself, and my wife's staying at home taking care of the kid, and I'm living this super traditional lifestyle when like I'm not even close. It's literally the exact opposite. And I think a part of me knew that if that were ever to be exposed, then I don't know if I would be able to handle that like emotionally. And so I used some other excuse, right? I couldn't at the time. I couldn't admit that. Instead, I used some other excuse as to why I could no longer create that content. So it's interesting, right? Because like now, because like the reason why I think that's interesting is because at the time I was preaching this lifestyle of wife staying at home and husband working, but I wasn't living that lifestyle at all, but I was not like ashamed of that whatsoever. Whereas like now I'm not talking about that at all anymore. I don't even know if I believe that is the case, right? That needs to be how the world is. But now I do feel kind of, inadequate about it. So it's interesting. It's possible that I'm just like evolving, or there's something deeper in there, but just something that I probably need to explore a little bit more, because it wasn't just like on that Twitter space. It was kind of like that's kind of how I felt. Like I had these super contradictory things going on where I was portraying myself and preaching this one thing of like, again, wife's at home, husband needs to work, but like that was not my life, like at all. So yeah, as I've said, I don't fully know how to think about all this. It's super, super confusing. And I do have someone in real life that I know for sure I need to talk to about this, because so I'm pretty sure he was working to a degree, but his wife was like the one that was kind of like making the money to provide for the family, and he more or less worked around his he was watching the kids and then was able to kind of work at the same time, but the focus was on the kids. And then I think once the kids were out of the house, then he was able to kind of flourish in his career. I don't want to like get into too much detail of who this person is or what they do, but air quotes career, because it's not necessarily like a career. It is slightly different. But he's definitely someone I could talk to about this. But right now, this is more of just like a video journal of me just kind of ranting. I've got all these thoughts. Like I'm constantly like thinking about this, and if you don't talk about things out loud and you just kind of keep them in your head, you realize that the kind of the thoughts and the rationale and the logic behind things like are super discombobulated. Like if you think you've got something figured out in your head, but you try writing it out or speaking it out loud, and you realize like that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Because at least for me, like it's super difficult to kind of keep a train of thought going in my head versus like putting it on paper or like saying it out loud and actually hearing it. So that's kind of like what this is I've got all these thoughts in my head about, oh, what could I have done differently? Or maybe, like was this thing a mistake? Or was that actually the thing I should have done that just didn't work out? What do I need to do moving forward? If anything, like how am I supposed to feel about this? Like but there's no like linearity to any of it. It's just all over the place. His thoughts just appear, and then I do tangent somewhere else, and it's just a constant just argument, I guess, in my head. Not even an argument, but just like a crowd of people just yelling. Whereas when you're talking out loud, there's only one train of thought at a time. And sure, like you go on tangents, and maybe everything's not necessarily clear, or there's no like beginning, middle, end, but it's infinitely times better than just a million voices going on in your head at the same time. So that's like kind of exactly what this is about. And, again, it's just more so, it's a video journal. I have no clue what I'm going to talk about tomorrow, if I'm going to talk tomorrow, where this is going to lead, in any of that. Or if this is even something I should be doing. Like, is this a good thing, or is this going to just bring up more issues that are going to negatively impact my life, or am I going to be constantly thinking about what I'm going to talk about and not able to focus on family at the time? But that's why I think having a dedicated time in the morning of like, hey, I'm going to record in the morning, and then that's it. Like then I'm not going to think about it the rest of the day, and then on days I don't work out, I'm going to just post the videos. But it takes like 2 seconds. Like I just clip out me working out, post the video, good to go. So. And again, how is what I'm saying right now relevant to the content itself? It's not, and that's not the point. The point is, I want to talk about this. That's what I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to hit another set, probably done, but if I'm not done, I'll come back. And if I am done, then I'll come back next time, probably looking the exact same, maybe the hat next time. So, all right.